All right, so we're going to roll into some NBA talk because obviously, like you said, on Sunday, you went and covered the Suns-Lakers game. There were some superstars in the building, and this kind of does tie into the NFL, so I want to talk about it. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were there. They dapped up pregame. I think you got some video of that with Devin Booker, KD, all that stuff. But you know who wasn't there? T. Higgins. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
T. Higgins wasn't there, and he's in the news. So
that's funny.
I don't know.
Apparently there were some other guys, too. I didn't
Odell
see
Beckham was there, but nobody cares.
Yeah. You definitely don't care. And no one cares. Like definitely, like honestly, I was getting ready to just like walk in the tunnel and go get some of that free food that the Suns hook us up with. Dude, it was
the wonderful
good.
media.
Oh man,
food,
it was so
job.
good. I wanted to just tell a story about food real quick. But like
Either
way, I was about to just like, I got all these great shots of people's pregame, and then like I noticed people like kind of chatting and like gathering around, and I was like, oh, that's Joe Burrow. All right, so like notice Joe first, of course, and then he's with Jamar. Catching the end of D-Book's warm-up, I got a pretty cool video of D-Book doing his kind of signature dunk and then dapping those two dudes up. I think he was they were talking about D-Book's shoes for a little bit. But, it was a cool experience. That's something that, like, the Lakers get every home game, right? But it was cool to have that in Phoenix. Really, the stars were out in Phoenix, so that was really fun. It felt, kind of like a playoff environment because of it, and then it ended up being a good game. The Suns,
123-113.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Suns scored 45 in the first quarter. So, that was kind of the story of the game is they got that early lead, and then the Lakers kind of just chipped away at it. And, Austin Reeves at the end of the game kind of said, when you let yourself get down like that, you kind of have to play a perfect basketball game to get yourself back in it and win those types of games. And, they made few mistakes in the second half, but they made enough to not be able to win it. They had to be perfect, and they weren't.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, like you said, you were looking into their like upcoming schedule as far as strength of schedule, and they have the hardest strength of schedule remaining in the NBA.
The Suns do.
The Suns do, and they're in a tight race. Like just 2 days ago, they were like in the 8th spot. Now they're in the 6th. They're 6.5 games out from first or second because they're tied. There's a lot happening that we're going to get into on the other side of the break as far as the standings, the Suns, what it means for them, and some scoring stuff. There's a lot that's going on. Make sure you guys come back and listen to us. This is KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us into the night. James out west, Pat the Stat Guy, Aaron on the other side of the glass, KDUS 1060 Phoenix. All right, so speaking of that game, I want to bring this up because the Sunday game that you went to with the Lakers and Suns. Obviously, after that game, they have the day off. LeBron is 74 points shy of 40,000 points. Wow. He's already the number one all-time leading scorer, but nobody's in the 40s. And the reason I bring that up is because KD, he should. So he's in 9th right now, all time. He should pass Shaq this season to go into 8th all time in NBA history in points scored.
That's amazing.
But
that's pretty amazing already, right there.
If he plays long enough, he could catch Kobe at 4. But he would have to do this. So he's 5,325 points away. He'd have to average 25 points a game and play at least 60 games for 3.5 seasons to get to that point.
Right.
But then he's still another 3,000 points away from Karl Malone. Like he could catch 4. He could catch Kobe at 4 and make Kobe the 5th leading scorer of all time. I don't think he can catch Karl Malone. And then look at the list of the top 25 scorers of all time. And on that list, there's nobody that's active, that's young enough, that's in that list.
Yeah.
That's going to make a dent to catch him.
Now,
Luka's not there yet, and he will have an opportunity. But, what struck out to me, and I wanted to bring this up real quick, was Russell Westbrook is the 25th all-time leading scorer in NBA history.
Wow, yeah.
You don't think of it like that because I think because he's been playing so long and we saw him play.
And how he's been playing lately.
Right. You forget. I think people forget how great of an NBA, of a basketball player he was and is to an extent. There's some times where he got that explosiveness where it's like, oh, that's Russell Westbrook from 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, but because, like you said, he hasn't played like that and he's still in the league. But for the fact that he's 25th all time is pretty impressive. So I wanted to shout him out as well because I just thought that was interesting that he's there and that KD is going to pass Shaq. Shaq was 5th when he retired. Shaq was 5th all time in scoring when he retired. And now he's 8th, going to be 9th. These guys, the records that you didn't think would be broken are starting to move. So some of these older guys that have been there, like Elvin Hayes and all this stuff, I'm going old school people, sorry, but you see them up in those lists, the top 10 or top 20. It's like, man, those guys would have had to put on a lot of scoring in that time period back in the 70s and 80s. So very impressive to see.
Now you got me breaking this down because I'm looking at this. Russell's at 25,000 points at number 25, right? All the way up to number 20, Vince Carter, is 25,728 points. He's 700 points, whatever it is, away from 20 for Russell.
So he'll play this season and next season, he'll pass him.
Right. And then I did want to mention, as you're talking about KD potentially catching Kobe Bryant at 4, that means he's passing Michael Jordan at 5. And I think, for any kid growing up as a Michael Jordan fan, which I have a feeling KD was, maybe not his favorite player, but to catch Michael Jordan, like that's, I've been I was there when KD, got to 10, and it's like, it's something you never dream about. Like making it into the NBA, that was your original dream. And then to be like top 10 and then, to potentially catch Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, like that's amazing.
Yeah. And then it's just so amazing because then you get to there and you get to Kobe Bryant, you pass Michael and Dirk and Wilt, and then you're still 3,000 points away from Karl Malone.
Yeah.
You're still 8,000, 9,000 points, 10,000. He's what? He's 11, 12,000 points away from LeBron.
Wow.
Like, just think about that. He's 12,000 points away from LeBron.
Yeah. And again, this all started with LeBron is about to hit 40,000 points.
Yep.
So again, back to Russell, where LeBron going to be at 40, Russell's at 25.
Yeah.
So
think about and Russell Westbrook had a long, long career.
He averaged a triple-double.
And KD for two seasons or 3 seasons, something absurd. Yeah. Something absurd.
I know that's not all points, but I mean he was scoring a lot.
I think he was a sscoring champ one of those years too.
Yeah, so
I think he led the league in scoring one of those years. So I just thought that was interesting to see those stats and kind of see where KD will pass Shaq soon. He's only a couple hundred points away.
Yeah,
like that's going to happen soon.
Well, yeah. To be honest, for LeBron, that might be all he gets to celebrate this year. I don't know if the Lakers are really set up to go far in the playoffs. Right now they're number 9 in the West. So I know we said we were going to kind of dive a little deeper into the West. So, I do think KD and the Suns, though, they, KD will certainly be celebrating going up and higher on that scoring list. But after seeing that game, going to the Suns-Lakers game, I thought the Suns looked really good. I thought that their recent trades are really kind of working well with that team. They seem to, I don't have the stat, but they seem to hit a ton of threes, spread the ball around really well. And again, they got out to an early lead and they never lost it. And at the end of the game, everyone was talking about Nurkic and the Suns' length,
right?
And how big of that, how much that was a problem for specifically the Lakers. But it got me thinking, like, how important length is going to be in the playoffs. So I had a question for you, like, really, like, how important is this seeding? When we look at seeding, because again, even last year, right, the Lakers were the 7th seed in the West, and they made it to the Western Conference Finals, where they got smoked by Denver 4-0 in that series. And then, obviously the Suns didn't have the success they wanted. You had Booker and KD didn't have a lot together. It was kind of the Booker and KD show. But, like, I think the Suns did a really good job of, adding talent to their bench, adding length, and kind of, jokerifying or whatever, jokerizing, I guess, their team to kind of, give Denver and some of these teams, Minnesota's got great length, Oklahoma City's got great length. I think the Suns are right there to compete with these teams.
Well, that's what I was going to mention. When you say does the seeding matter, it absolutely matters, especially for teams like the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, because they're going to be on the road the entire time, and length bothers them. Like you just mentioned, the Minnesota Timberwolves, super long. Right. Oklahoma City, super long. Denver's only a game and a half out of being the first place seed again. Like Clippers, when they play, they're playing good. I almost said football, playing good basketball. Here's what stands out to me though. In your basically the top 10 teams in the West, which 7 through 10 will play in the play-in tournament, right? Top 10 teams. Every single one of those teams, except for one team, has a positive differential. And the differential is how many points you score versus how many points you give up. Okay? And every team in the top 10 is in the plus. They're in the green. They're in the money, baby.
Yeah.
Except for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's close. They're only they're being outscored by half a point, but that can't stand if they are going to make a run to even making the playoffs and or making out of the first round.
Right. So, like, again, I look at last year, and it gives me confidence that they can make a run in the playoffs, but I don't think they changed their team enough to do anything about Denver, right? So I don't see the Lakers, winning a championship this year, but I don't count out LeBron and AD, and I don't count out Steph Curry's. And, when you look at the first 2 seeds, if it was right now, if the playoffs started today, the Timberwolves and the Thunder they're the two youngest teams, right? Or two of the younger. I don't know. Maybe the Kings are younger somehow, but I think those two teams are the youngest, and that's also a lack of experience. And you got LeBron and the Lakers and AD who have a ton of playoff experience. So that's where I do think you could get some of these, I guess 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds taking out the Thunder or the Timberwolves.
Well, look at this: the 7, 8, 9, and 10. Pelicans, Mavericks, Lakers, Warriors. If those are the 4 teams playing in the play-in tournament, 2 of them are coming out, right? So the Lakers and Warriors, there's a chance the Lakers get bumped by Dallas. I mean, that's all as if it stands today.
Right.
But like we were talking about, the Suns are the 6th seed. I had written down earlier about talking about, are the Suns in danger of potentially missing the playoffs or being in the play-in? Because they were at the 8th seed. And they win one game and they're the 6th. Like, that's how tight this race is. Like you said, the 1 and 2, they have the same record of 40-17. Denver's a game and a half back. Clippers 2.5 games back, and then Sacramento and the Suns are tied at 6.5 games back, along with the 7 seed. And everybody is so close. Only your Lakers and Warriors are further out. Everybody else from 8 to 5 are a game and a half difference. That's huge. It's not so much the case in the East. The Boston Celtics seem like they're running away with it. Yeah. They've had multiple 8-game winning streaks this season, and the big difference for them is, crazy enough, Kristaps Porzingis, because what he does for that team, he makes that team go. They have duplicates in Brown and Tatum. They've got Derek White is really good. They've got guys. Oh, and not forget Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he can give you 25. He can shut down your best perimeter offensive guy. They're making their moves. I mean, the Cavs are in the 2nd spot, and they're like 7 games back.
Yeah.
And they're having a really good year. And to be the 2nd spot, the 2nd seed, to be 7.5 games back.
Yeah, no,
it just
crazy.
is a testament to how good the Celtics are, and the East is going to run through them. So any of these Western Conference teams are going to have to play. I think are going to play, Boston.
Yeah, Porzingis was a big pickup, literally, obviously. But I still think after Jokic's performance last night against Golden State, going 32, 16, and 16, it was his 18th triple-double, which is 2nd in the league, only to Sabonis, who has 20. And also wasn't an all-star, which is another crazy thing. But
that's absurd.
But I do think, Denver right now, after that performance by Jokic, and again, imagine if they work their way up to the number 1 seed, because again, they're 39-19. The Timberwolves and the Thunder are 40-17. So Denver could get the number 1 seed, and now you have to face Jokic and this Denver team at home, and I think they're the scariest team, followed by the Clippers. I see Denver or the Clippers versus Boston.
Fantastic. All right, you guys, this is the end of the show. We're going to be in studio next week, of course, KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Make sure to follow us on Twitter or X at James_Out_West, IG James Out West _ and at Pat the Stat Guy. You've been listening to KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Make sure you have a wonderful night. One love.
Peace.